Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And I want you guys to take a look at what the IMF just posted on their official website. They just posted an article with the name The Great Reset. And I don't think this is a coincidence, guys. This is no joke. Everybody's been talking about this right now, and really trust me, guys, when I say it is time to start thinking about some bigger things that are playing here. So guys, if you are enjoying the daily crypto news, make sure you support the channel by pressing the like button and subscribe. And also make sure you check out my second channel called 5 Minute Crypto. But for today, also I have a question, and that is, do you think there's something bigger at play and at stake? Do you think so? Let me know in the comment section down below what you think about that, or just a simple yes or no, and let's get on with the video. So, for the last couple of days, I've been seeing a ton of people shout out things like, it's been time for the reset, it's been time for financial revolution, yada, yada, yada. And I think a great part about that all is that there's riots going on, mostly in the US right now, talking all about equality and a lot of different sorts. There's just really a kind of a civil movement going on. But together with civil movements often comes talks about depression, talks about revolutions, talks about all that type of uncertain stuff and things you need unity for, or like things that people can really contradict each other with. And one of those things I personally believe is the payments realm, or really more so the finance realm, right? And the IMF, International Monetary Fund, I think it's pretty easy for anybody to see here that whenever they talk about a reset, we're talking about money in this sense, right? We're talking about money in a certain degree. It might be stimulus, it might be payments, like in terms of in terms of cross border, but we know sure as hell that it's about money. And now one of the tweets I saw earlier today was this: "This is the next chapter, the Great Reset." This comes from XRP Chiz. "Our old systems are not fit anymore for the 21st century. Now is the historical moment, the time. In short, we need a great reset. XRP family, the time is now, buckle up." And fun fact, this video was posted here on 6:30 p.m. Right now, it is 9:30 p.m. And I believe this article was actually posted just a little bit later than this was posted online. So I personally believe that he is talking about we need a great reset, and boom, the IMF puts up an article with exactly that title, which to me is quite interesting. But let's quickly read through it here, as I think you guys are all kind of excited about what they have to say. Of course, they will not give you guys all the info just like that, but they're hinting that there is a reset really close around the corner, and it's something you should take in the back of your head. Remarks to World Economic Forum, Kristalina Georgieva, Managing Director, IMF. "My thanks to His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales and to Professor Schwab for bringing us together. Now is the time to think of what history would say about the crisis, and now is the time for us all to define our own role. Will historians look back and say what a moment of great reversal? Today, we see very worrying signs. 170 countries are going to finish this year with a smaller economy than at the start of the year, and we already project that there will be more debt, bigger deficits, and more unemployment. And there is a very high risk of more inequality and more poverty, unless we act. So what would it take for historians to look back at this crisis as the moment of a great reset?" Whew. From a perspective of the IMF, we have seen a massive injection of fiscal stimulus. And again, fiscal stimulus, think about money being put into the economy in terms of printing, but also in terms of sending money around, right? Because one thing people often forget about is that these stimulus checks all came through the mail. And a lot of people were complaining that it takes a long time. They could have better worked with Ripple or through XRP to get everything done faster. It's something to think about here, because if we're talking about fiscal injection or fiscal stimuli, I don't know what the multiple of that is. If we're talking about sending people money, we also should be thinking about how we sent these people money, right? And we should keep Ripple in the back of our heads for those things. From the perspective of the IMF, we have seen a massive injection of fiscal stimulus to help countries deal with the crisis and to shift gears for growth to return. It is of paramount importance that this growth should lead to a greener, smarter, fairer world in the future. And now, two parts of this, smarter and fairer, are also what Ripple is working for. Greener, I guess getting rid of Nostro Vostro is greener. However, it's mostly smarter, more transparent, faster, more efficient. So I guess from that perspective, it is also greener. And again, it ticks the boxes. It is possible to do this, provided that we concentrate on the key elements of a recovery and act now. We don't need to wait. At the IMF, we see tremendous opportunities. First, let me talk about green growth. Governments can put in place public investments, yada, yada, yada. It doesn't really matter exactly what they want to do for green growth. I'm personally thinking here, like that's the least important out of all of them, because there's a lot of different things you can think about when you're talking about green, but mostly here they're talking about like land and mangroves and stuff. Second, though, this one is a little bit more important. Actually, is this one important? Second, let me talk about smarter growth. We know the digital economy is the big winner of this crisis, but we must not allow the digital divide to widen so that some countries and communities fall further behind. This would bring more pain than gain in the future. So it is critical that institutions like the IMF support investments that will shrink the digital divide, working in partnership with the World Bank and others. And I don't think I've ever been excited as much as I am today about an article coming up from the IMF just like that, guys. This is huge. We also need to think carefully about how to make sure the jump in growth and profitability in the digital sector leads to benefits that are shared across our societies. All my days, all my freaking days, guys. Are you reading this? Are you hearing this right now? The IMF, just like that, is acknowledging the necessity of Ripple in the simplest statements I've ever read. Really, again, quoting that there shouldn't be such a big divide between all these countries in the digital sector. And what is Ripple really for here, right? To be able to send money everywhere. And what they want to do the most, get into these lower income areas, settle up, get it fixed, get it sorted so that nobody is left out, so that all these connections are met and that information can be, or that money can be sent around the world like information can today. Right, that's one of their primary goals, to make payments more efficient, again, more transparent, and really accessible to everybody. And again, through a little bit of a different route, and even though they might not mean it necessarily with these statements, they are mentioning Ripple in their goal of smarter growth. They are again mentioning their ideas. They are mentioning their way. I think this is going to be huge here, because at least to me, it looks like they're supporting the move that Ripple's trying to make, and they're actually stating that we should all support it because we're talking here about smarter growth. And you can't tell me that if Ripple were to become big, it will be a bad thing for the world in terms of growth, right? Being able to send money all around the world for very, very cheap, I think is one of the biggest bullish factors for growth ever. Because if people can send money everywhere, you're going to see a lot more investment. At least that's something I personally see. Or think you're at least going to see more consumption, right? At least I personally think so. You're going to work a little bit harder, I also think, if you're able to send money away. It might not be nationally good, but in the end, it's going to be good for the global economy as people have more money to spend, more money to do things with. And I also personally think that if Ripple were to, hop in, take over, a lot more underdeveloped countries would receive a lot more support than right now. Because if I'm thinking about it, hypothesize with me here. If you were to have, let's say, for example, a group of people in Africa that you wanted to support, you want to send them $500 to start up a company, and it takes $50 to send it, you might be like, oh, damn, because you don't want to spend 10% to send some money to them. You don't want to waste $50, which could be, 2 months working for some people, for example, in Nigeria, which is the truth, right? And from that perspective, if it were to be nearly free to send that money, you know how much more investment they could do? You know how much more you're helping them out by making those smaller things for possibly a Western sender cheaper? That's something I like to think about as well. I like to, go a little step further and think about the real consequences in this sense here. And I think that it's even possible to take this even further, but at least those parts were the most important out of this article for me today. We're talking about fairer growth. We know that if left to its own devices, this pandemic is going to deepen inequality that has happened in prior pandemics as well. We can avoid this if we concentrate on investing in people, in the social fabric of our societies, in access to opportunities, in education for all, again, things that Ripple's working on as well, and in the expansion of social programs so we take care of the most vulnerable people, then we can have a world that is better for everyone. I don't know exactly how I, want to reply to that, as I think that's a good thing, but again, it's not talking about money that much here. We're talking about more social. I don't know if that's fairer growth in the essence, but whatever, that's what they call it. So, yeah. At my institution, the IMF was created at this time as well. Again, we're talking about back in the day at the Bretton Woods Conference. So now is the moment to step up and use all the strength we have to turn the page. In case of the IMF, we have $1 trillion financial capacity and tremendous engagement on the policy side. This is the movement or the moment to decide that history will look back on this as a great rest, not the great reversal. And I want to say loud and clear, the best memorial we can build to those who have lost their lives in the pandemic is to build a world that is greener, smarter, and fairer. Thank you. So again, kind of lastly to point out here, let it all not be for nothing. Make sure that it's worth something, that it all meant something, and we should be coming out greener and I guess better after this whole pandemic ends. I think that's also something we should all take into consideration as well. Become a better person every single day. At least if you can, think about what have I achieved today, what do I want to do tomorrow. And if you look back at yesterday, did you improve at least a little bit from the day before or something like that? I mean, I also remember Steve Jobs also used to say things like that in his books and speeches and stuff. But right, some other stuff that I wanted to show you guys today so I don't leave you guys only with IMF stuff. Naga Bo said, Coinbase not allowing me to buy XRP for the past 3 days. What's up with that? I've been telling you guys, man, Coinbase, BitMEX, I don't know if I should be calling them shams or what I should be calling them, because they've just been really, really annoying talking about being able to transact whenever it's the most convenient time. And convenient time, I'm talking here about points where the prices are high, or prices are ridiculously high, or prices are trending and doing crazy stuff. Like, for example, when Bitcoin went to 10K, I believe, yesterday. It quickly hit it on some places. People want to sell their money, right? But they are not allowing it. And I don't know what the cause of that is. Green Eggs and Ham, or Sam I Am, I believe, is Twitter as well, I don't know, said on Twitter, Hey Joe Cats, hoping you can answer. Can a RippleNet customer with their own settlement network use RN to offer a hybrid/multi-hop settlement service to other RN banks and financial institutions that would rival SWIFT, or do they need Ripple's permission/licensing to do so? David Schwartz says, we call this regional clearing. Customers can inject their own settlement rates and capabilities. Multi-hop is supported. That's something I personally was wondering about as well. I didn't actually ask it because I never thought about asking it at all, but it's something that's a very, very good question, so I love him for actually asking those things which are important to us all. This is stuff you should be thinking about. This is stuff you should be taking with you for a very long ride, as that's, again, stuff that might help you out in the future. XRP Chiz also posted earlier, the reset has been planned for many years. It's finally here. Nobody's talking about this. And actually, he's not really showing any, real great evidence. He's more so showing videos about people talking about some sort of, reset or I guess dividedness. If that's even a word. I don't think so, but you guys get me. And a lot of those sectors, where I guess here in the train, it's again about maybe the riots or something like that, where people are, now doing a lot of crazy stuff with the caps. And actually, another question I'm wondering from you guys: do you think those caps actually help, or the mouth caps, or whatever you call it, or are they BS? I've seen a lot of different ideas surrounding that, but let me know what you think about that. And that was it for this video. Hopefully you all enjoyed, hopefully you learned something new, and I'll see you guys again in another crypto video. Take care, everybody, and have a very, very nice day.